Alright, for those who do not know me, I am Jace Daniel Galfond Trimble-Shoup. 27, turning 28 this year. I have bipolar and am autistic. There is a lot to unpack. I'll make this video just a quick synopsis on how I came about to this concept, and then as a bit of a description of where the story takes place and sort of its general design. So I have a Super Nintendo, still have the one from when I was a kid, and there was a video game called Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. That video game was my favorite video game. It was the first video game I beat as a kid by myself, without a walkthrough or anything. And it wasn't like hard, but as a kid trying to figure out that stuff. I used to live on an island, Hornby Island to be exact, and we moved to Victoria, and essentially, because my sister was going to go to high school or something along that line. And we moved to a townhouse, and in that townhouse, I had made some friends, but met some of the local kids, but at some point I made the idea, why don't I play pretend and play in this world? And I think at the time it was just a simple, you had a character, they had 3 powers, and you had a weapon. And there were 8 other kids beside me, and we were running around playing pretend, for that. After a few, no, I couldn't get everyone out to play all the time. So eventually that play group weaned down to 2 other people, and then also ended up being played between kids at my elementary school. And then it was grade 6, I think, that I realized I wanted to take this world and share it with everyone else. So I started making characters, my own characters, and then, at the time I used, my friends' characters, but, that hasn't been around for a while. It was in grade 11 where I realized that I didn't know my friends' characters, so I made my own characters. There are 9 in total that will be the main characters to show up throughout the entire series and other series prior to this one. There's Zafira, who's the main one, Saul, who is sort of not the exact opposite, but sort of the counterpart to Zafira. There's Angel, then there's her counterpart, Auric, and then there's Haziel, there's Ingsten, there's Asia, there's Talak, and there's Motika. Now, they all don't show up within the first novel, so you'll know some characters' names before they show up. I won't say anything about them. Most likely I will only do character description of characters that show up within the first 4 or 8 chapters. Basically, this world that we're on, this story that we take, it only takes place in a continent, one continent. There are 2 other continents. And for the most part, this series doesn't actually take place on the entire continent. Now the continent is on Earth, our Earth, but hundreds or so thousands of years in the future. Uh, Basically, our Earth becomes a wasteland, and a alien substance travels through space, hits our moon, makes it livable, and when that connection, it causes the part of the moon to break off and then drift towards Earth and terraform Earth and bring life back onto it and whatnot. And so doing so makes causes the continent that we're on to be livable. Best way to imagine it is if South America was pushed up to the eastern coast, like the eastern coast of where Brazil essentially is pushed up and cozied up against the east southern coast, and Australia is snug up against like where Chile is, and that's the continent. The other continents, imagine if you took Africa and just stretched it out into a whole bunch of small islands, and then Europe and Asia sort of off by itself, connected still to connected to this new continent in the same area where like Alaska is. As I said, there's humans, there's Alcum, there's Ivmu, there's Gustave. I've given a short description in my Instagram profile, gloomy_word_weaver, but without going in depth to them, they all tend to fall along the same premise of they live within city walls, they have their own micro culture within them. Now there's some aspects of history, but outside the walls there are vibrant forests, it was meant to be colorful, so there's a lot of animals I've created that tend to be their combinations of two animals or three, or are a horrific version of an animal. Like, think, one of the examples is there are two types of birds in this world, and well, there are other versions, but two types of more common ones, and they have wings like a bird would, but some have like 4 tentacles that are meant to grapple onto its food and bring it towards think like an ant's maw. That's pretty much it. And the same goes for the other type of bird, except for they actually have mandible claws that they'll latch on and take bites out of something. They hunt in packs. They're predatorial. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, then there's the other plants that will, like, they'll actually try and eat you, whether you're passing them, just like passing by, or you've decided to sleep in an area where they are. I don't know how to summarize this. I'm sorry. Now, the point of this 5-part series is to deal with trauma. The main character goes through a traumatic event in chapter 2. I will not say, but eventually when this book is published, you'll get to find out. If I can go off, it's supposed to be the implementation of trauma, the aftermath of trauma, recognizing trauma, accepting trauma, and overcoming trauma. These are my own personal perceptions, so it's not like, a You Help book or a actual based on what people are supposed to actually do. This book also will not encompass the entire cultural aspects of this world. It will just be focused on the journeys that these 9 characters take. And that's it. And then it will have a conclusion which will lead into the second series. That's all. I mean, I will talk about more, but I didn't want to do a long video because I didn't want to overwhelm people. And also, never done a video and posted online, so we'll see how this goes.